Most traders think they can handle a loss. And to be fair, they usually can. One losing trade doesn't feel that dangerous. You take the hit, move on, look for the next setup. But that's not where trading becomes difficult. The real test begins when the market asks a different question. What happens when the next trade loses too, and the one after that, and the one after that? Not because you're doing something wrong, not because your strategy stopped working, just because the market entered a phase where your edge isn't being rewarded. That's where many traders discover something uncomfortable. They never had a risk management problem, they had a losing streak problem, and those are very different things. Think about how most beginners evaluate risk. They look at a trade and ask, how much can I lose on this setup? Seems logical, but the market doesn't experience your trades individually. The market experiences them as a sequence, and sequences behave very differently. Imagine you start with 6 lakh rupees. You decide to risk 1% per trade, nothing extreme. A few losses happen, then another, then another. 5 trades fail in a row. It doesn't feel good, but the account is down around 5%. Painful, yes. Catastrophic, no. You can still think clearly. You can still execute the next setup. You still trust your process. Now change only one thing, not the strategy, not the setup quality, not the market, just the risk. 2% per trade, same 5 losses. Now you're staring at a double-digit drawdown. Suddenly the experience changes, not mathematically, psychologically. Because at 10% down, a new voice appears, the recovery voice. The voice that starts asking, maybe I should increase size on the next trade, maybe I should skip this setup, maybe the system has stopped working. Nothing outside changed, but internally, everything changed. That's the cluster shock effect. Most traders prepare for losses. Very few prepare for clusters of losses. And markets love delivering losses in clusters. A sector weakens, a market regime shifts. Correlated stocks begin moving together. Suddenly, multiple trades that looked independent start failing for the same underlying reason. This is why professionals rarely think in terms of single trade risk. They think in terms of cluster risk. In other words, if 5 trades go wrong, can I still behave like the same trader? That's the real question. Because survival isn't determined by your best trades, it's determined by your behavior during the worst sequence. The 3 stages of cluster shock. Stage 1, rational loss. You accept the outcome. The process remains intact. Stage 2, emotional pressure. You start monitoring P&L more than execution. Confidence begins to shrink. Stage 3, recovery urgency. You feel compelled to make the money back. And that's where most account damage happens. Not from the losses, from the reaction to the losses. That's why risk management is really emotional management in disguise. Smaller risk doesn't just protect capital, it protects decision quality, it protects patience, it protects your ability to keep following the plan when the market temporarily stops rewarding it. The emotional trader sees 5 losses and concludes something is broken. The structured trader sees 5 losses and asks, is this within the expected behavior of my system? One reacts, the other evaluates. One focuses on recovery, the other focuses on execution. And over time, that difference becomes enormous. So here's something worth reflecting on after your next losing streak. Don't just record how much money you lost. Record how your thinking changed after each loss. When did frustration appear? When did doubt appear? When did the urge to recover appear? Because those moments reveal more about your trading future than the losses themselves. The market will always deliver clusters. The question is whether your risk is sized for survival when they arrive. And that's something worth thinking about before the next streak begins.